Alright, let's get the stream running. Lovely. Pop out the chat. There. I'm gonna fight this a couple more times while we set up. At least at level 89 before we go further.
I'm ready.
If I'm steamrolling this fight sufficiently, I'm ready to demolish that final boss. Also, I gotta put my webcam on. I gotta remember to do that.
Not giving up.
Okay, 4 million highest damage. Nice. 88 still. Give it like 1-2 more fights. And then we're gonna go do the finale of this game. We're gonna go see it through to the end. Tonight is the night. Laura is invisible? I should be visible now. I might not have been visible a minute ago, but I am now. Oh, I am ready to wreck the end of this game. I am ready to make the end of this game look laughable. Like, part of me is tempted to be like, I stick around here until the second Phantom Strike can kill the big guy before he evolves. That is unnecessary. I don't need to be that overpowered.
I can do it.
One more fight should get us to 89. Hey, Marks! Had to catch up on the VOD so I could join for the finale. Welcome. You've caught up just in time. I am arbitrarily fighting this enemy until I get to level 89, but then we're, yeah, we're off to the end. The time has come. For an RPG, very manageable to have streamed this game. Like, maybe 3 weeks of streaming to stream this entire RPG in, like, 3-hour bursts, which is... Oh, I wish there were more story-heavy turn-based RPGs I could finish in, like, 3 weeks of stream. It's an absolute treat.
Let's dance.
And then that's slightly the game audio.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah, this is session number 9. I know they weren't all exactly 3 hours, but I'm gonna say, like, 27 hours, like, under 30 hours. That's respectful of my time, that. Let me have an RPG this narratively dense in 30 hours. Did I hit level 89? Yes, I did. Okay. Oh, okay, well I can't back out of the menu now, so I guess I'm fighting one more time. It's fine, I'm just that good.
Not giving up.
I'm just getting my muscle memory down now. Ready to wreck everything else when the time comes. My main thing is because of where my webcam is placed in my gameplay view, I have to not accidentally muscle memory into doing the move that refills my AP but takes my health down to 1 twice in a row and puts me in virtuoso stance twice in a row. I need to remember I've already done it. Use the second of the 2 turns for attacks. Right. Let's go. It's time. Toward the end of the end of the series, we depart. I feel like this is probably going to end up being a weirdly short stream. Like, I'm really not going to need that much time to finish this up. Okay. Yeah. Where am I heading to? I'm heading back to Lumiere, aren't I? I'm heading to the big Eiffel Tower. The big multi-Eiffel Tower today. Fail at the bosses then a few times should be enough to fill the stream time. Now, because what I'll probably end up doing is finishing... It's probably going to be a little bit of a shorter stream today, just because today is Accessibility Summer Showcase trailer deadline day. And most of them have arrived now. I think there's like 2 trailers I'm left waiting for. And I got bits I need to be doing tonight. I need to finish writing the audio description script for the showcase. I need to start doing transcription, ready for the subtitles. I'm doing all of it. I'm getting all my bits and bobs ready for AA today. Ooh. Wait 1 sec. Ooh. I got a cool review code for a thing just came in. I received an email and I was like, I haven't done anything wrong, have I? I haven't got into trouble. No, okay. All good. Lumiere. There we go. Yes, I'm keeping an eye on my emails tonight because I am watching out for my final 2 trailers to come in for AA. Well, time for us to go fight our way to Father. See how he is doing. Evening, Athling. So I need to work out where I place my wedding ring.
Wait for us here.
It has been misplaced
It's
somewhere.
dangerous for you near Papa.
Thankfully, it's cheap as hell. And very easily replaceable, because I am a clumsy, forgetful dumbass.
We'll have to move fast. I can't maintain them for very long.
Mael, summon us an army of ghost expeditioners. For those who came before and for those who come after.
Tomorrow comes.
God, Mael really does pick up that main character energy the longer this game goes. It's the wraiths from the Battle of the Two Towers. Look at this fucking finale. Our enemies are gonna come and try and fight us, are they? Don't worry, all the fallen expeditioners are fighting our way through. Honestly, yeah, saying Mael is Gandalf at this point, not that inaccurate. Got the soundtrack kicking in, all of the fallen expeditioners coming in to deal with the fights for us. Oh, you want to actually fight, do you? You want to fight? Didn't even have to use my special move. Mael the Mauve. Just now put in my head Mael the Mauve and Mael the White, and Monty Python and the Holy Grail's Black Knight. Gosh. The Ultimate Showdown of Ultimate Destiny still lives rent-free in my head. God, this whole finale is so gloriously dramatic. Baractus Skullman says, Laura, I need help with a conundrum. I've tucked into a very snugly in bed, but I'm feeling hungry. What do I do? Is there anyone that you could be like, hey, hello, I'm calling in a favor, please bring food to me, I'm very snuggly. If that is not an option, have you considered gnawing off your own arm? Seems better than getting up if you're snuggly. Call an ex to come feed you. Make them think you want to get back together. Oh, Mux is here with the creative thinking tonight.
Your father. He's at the tower.
Yes. I am.
I should probably get to the tower then, I imagine.
Good stuff.
An advantage.
Dum, 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 bum, 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 bum. Whew. Hey, spindly fucker, get over here. Single enemy? Yeah, Stendhal. Hey, mini-boss of this area, unique named enemy. Ooh, 75% extra counterattack damage would be nice. Yeah, you give me a unique Picto. You're like a boss, huh? Oh, these final bosses aren't going to be anything, are they?
The Opera House.
Evening, Death Tales. Yeah, this year's AA Summer Showcase is going to be longer than I anticipated it being. I estimated 45 minutes. It's probably going to be closer to 55 by the time it's done. It looks like we're going to be somewhere in the realm of about 10 minutes longer than I anticipated. And that's even with one game having to be cut out today. Even with one trailer having to be cut on the final day, I'm still going to be about 10 minutes over what I'd estimated my schedule to be. That's not a problem. That just means more games for all of you to see. Ooh, where are we heading? We're heading that way. Evening, Gveldstrom. I
Finesse
am
and
overpowered. Fights cower before me now. I am the thing they run from, rather than the reverse.
Almost there.
Mael,
Let's go.
Mael has no patience for anything but seeing this through at this point. Hello, likely final merchant we're going to see in the game. How are you doing? What do you got? I mean, all the things. Hello, sir.
Spill some ink.
That's a good 5 million damage single hit. 25% increased damage on full health. Yeah, but we don't want to be on full health. We want to be on shit health. We want to be a deliberate glass cannon, you see, sir.
Papa is somewhere past the gardens.
Where Papa is irrelevant, honestly. He's going to die all the same. Such a sad Eiffel
Can't
Tower.
sustain the expedition as much longer.
Ned, we need to defeat them fast.
Oh, my little dead clone puppets.
father's image transpired.
Might want to invest in some slightly stronger enemies, everyone.
Papa's over there. And the chroma we need to bring back Lumiere.
Even I can sense him. We'd better make sure we're ready.
Here we are, back where we began. Morning, Renoir. Good day to you, sir.
Papa?
Alicia.
Please. I just want you to understand what this canvas means to me.
I do understand. I know how powerful and intoxicating it is. How deeply attached we can become to the worlds we pour our hearts and souls into.
I do want to stop and talk about this thing Renoir was talking about here. 100% this is a real experience that creative people have. I've experienced it, I've spoken to a lot of other creative people who have. It's one of the hardest things about finishing a project. I experienced it when writing my novel with my wife, Who Hunts the Whale. At a certain point, you have to just go, this piece of art is finished, and it's complete, and we're going to stop working on it, and this will be the form it takes. And it can be hard to say goodbye and to put a world in stasis and go, this is what this is now, and I don't get to keep tinkering with it and living in it. But I don't think that's what Mael is experiencing.
I was enthralled, and it nearly killed me.
It doesn't mean you have to erase Verso's canvas.
Child, do you think I want to? After all the sorrows we've endured, do you really think that I want to destroy this last piece of his soul?
Don't.
You could just not.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices. We do what we must.
Must you, though? Must you, though?
Grief often blinds us, and we make choices we can never take back.
Art is never completed, only abandoned. That is... I don't like thinking of it that way. Well, I'll say this. Art is never completed, only abandoned is the kind of mentality that you hear from people who never fucking complete and finish work. It is a thing you regularly hear from people who have a dozen projects on the go and have never finished and completed one. It's a thing I've had. Look, I've had that thought. You know, I've had thoughts like it, but at some point you gotta go, no. I'm going to tell myself this thing is complete, because if I tell myself I'm abandoning it, I'll never leave it, and then it will never be. It'll be lived in, but at what expense, you know?
I agree for many. The choices of parents leave indelible marks upon their children. But ultimately, the voices in their head have to be their own. You cannot set the boundaries of their life for them.
I can try.
After the fire, you wanted me to find new joy in life.
I wasn't finding it from you, my family out there.
But I couldn't.
You all saw me as the reason Verso was dead, or as a,
Verso died because
you know,
of
an
me.
invalid,
How do
or
we get from that to joy?
you know, a burden.
Child, it
But in
will
here-
get better, I promise you. But this is not the way. Your friends speak truth, and it changes nothing. You can hate me, but that's a choice I must make. As your father, I must look out for you, especially when you can't look out for yourself.
You treat me as if I'm still 5.
I treat you as if the shadow from the worst day of our lives is going to suffocate you and take you from us too!
You being alive is more important to me than you being happy. I don't care if you're miserable as long as you keep breathing.
I said, enough.
Mael can be happy outside, though. Maybe? But she wasn't. And she's now lived 16 years in here, building friendships and loves and a life that is way happier than the one she had out there. And that she views as just as real as the one out there. She has to learn to. He wasn't happy because of the dysfunctional family, yeah. Look, I feel like we're gonna have some spirited arguments about this game when we finish here. We'll get there, we'll get there. DeathTales, I feel like I know what choice you made at the end of this game. I'm gonna guess, and it's not the one I'm gonna make. But I think that's what makes this game fascinating. Anyway, watch me press the delete button. That move was nerfed 70%.
Stop this insanity. It's time to go home.
If the family was functional, Aline could spend days in the painting and come back to dinner.
I do love
Okay, interesting. I will say this. You're still calling... I don't think calling her Aline is a neutral choice. She's been Mael for just as long as she has been Aline. And she clearly feels more connected to one of those than the other.
this is beginning to irk me.
Oh, sorry, yes, Eileen, you're right, yes.
Generating. Maybe we focus on the accents first.
Mael, no, what's the daughter's name outside the painting? Doesn't that also begin with an A? Alicia, that's why I was getting confused. It was an A, it was a feminine A name. I thought you were saying Alicia. I am not good at the names. Eileen is so rarely called Eileen that I forget that that's her name. It's like the paintress Maman. Too many names. Anyway, Phase 2. Now, what's the voting chat? Do you think Phase 2 will survive an attack? Hey, Delta. I have been enjoying this game a lot. I am 1/3 of the way through beating the final 3 bosses with one-hit KO attacks.
You're going to kill yourself. It's too
Oh, that's Eileen, isn't it? Yeah, here we go. They paint her, they draw her, they sculpted her wrinkles beautifully. I agree. I think Eileen comes back for Mael here. Agreed, Mutz. Having a unique first letter to your name is a disability aid. I will fight for that. Yeah, Deathtail says, she is not the broken woman you fight in Act 2. She is a mama bear coming back for her child. Isn't this such a good fucking tune? Delta says, I may need to try this game out. This music slaps. It is up there with Sonic Frontiers for me in terms of some of the greatest boss battle music ever in video games. This has very quickly shot up that list of like, oh, I will listen to this when I need pumping up. Like, the game is full of tracks like this. Anyway, watch me watch me use a move that has received a 70% damage nerf to one-hit kill the final boss, or the penultimate boss. Look, this game has really good, tense, dramatic back and forth boss fights. But it also does not stop you completely breaking its own mechanics, and I love that. It at least makes you, it forces you to wait until Act 3 before you can really bust it open. Oh, sorry, we've got a Phase 3. We've got to do Phase 3. There's Phase 3, didn't even have to do any attacks. Phase 3 we did really see. Deathtail says the lyrics too. Do you know the lyrics? I would love to know what the lyrics are about, if you can give me a gist of what the French is singing. $6.5 million damage in one attack. Continue loving, you continue painting. Extend your hand and pray for you to come back. Or pray for you to come back, I'm guessing that might be. That's beautiful.
Ironic. Your mother was the one who saved me when I lost myself in a canvas. She taught me how to safely use our gift. How to soar without flying too close to the sun. We painted hundreds of canvas worlds, pushing the very boundaries of creation. And she never let me forget that every day we spent here has a price.
Creating endlessly with no rest comes with a cost.
Yet here we are now.
So trust her. If she's doing this, then...
I trust what she taught me.
You are rigid and stubborn, sir.
This is not a game. You think you know what's at stake, but you don't.
I know precisely what's at stake. You want control. You want to feel like you're doing something. You couldn't save Versus, so you want to save us, except you're not. Destroying the canvas won't help us move on. It'll just deny us the one place that helped us feel again.
Renoir's voice at English VA is Andy Serkis, yes.
67 years
There-
I spent trapped.
There are some really big name VAs in this, considering it's the studio's like first release. Like Charlie Cox is in it. Like there's some big names.
But I persisted. Do you know why? Do you know why I cannot leave her or you behind? This is what I see.
Look, I'm gonna say this kind of directly. Eileen is old. She's getting on in years. I'm gonna say, with regards to her and living out her final days in the painting, the same thing that I would say to a 90-year-old woman telling me she would quite like to try heroin. My response would be, it's not going to be good for your health, but at your age, you're knocking on death's door anyway. How much time is it going to cost you if it does anything bad to your health? And are you going to enjoy it in your last days? Because these are going to be some of your worst ones at this age. If you find a source of joy, what does it really matter at this point if it's a little self-destructive? Deathtail says, Eileen also knows what she does. I do really think her actions are basically an attempted suicide by canvas. I think that's it. I think a big part of it for Eileen is she's old enough that she doesn't want to, like, her final years to be mourning her dead son. Like, if she's not got that much time left, she would rather spend it pretending, and, like, maybe it's not healthy to live in a place where her son still exists and to not do that mourning, but also, fuck it, I'm old, I don't want to have to lose another person. No parent should have to outlive their child. Fuck it, if I've only got a little time left, I'm gonna spend it living in the VR world with my son. And you know what? I can't hold that against her.
I cannot spend another...
What's not healthy is leaving her family behind for that. I mean, you're not wrong.
Since the fire, our family has crumbled. A lean in the canvas. Clair, fighting a solitary war. You.
Claire did not have to be fighting her war solitary, though. She could have been less of an ableist dick, and she could have had Mael fighting with her. Hey, Dad, you could have gone. Fuck it, Mum wants to live in the paint. Your wife wants to live in the painting. Whatever, I'll help. I'll leave, and I won't go in the painting after her. I'll help my daughter with the war. Like, Claire does not have to be fighting that war alone. You, a living ghost.
Ghost. Verso's death broke us. I want it to be fixed. I need it to be fixed.
Yeah.
I cannot lose you too.
He's not doing any better at accepting death. His response to death is to believe he can prevent it happening to others. That he can... If he's controlling enough, no one else will die and he won't have to mourn after this. Like, that's not healthy either. You know,
You see, that's how I feel about them.
This is the thing I wish this ending of the game really, really, like, said more explicitly and leaned into more. Mael feels this way about the residents of the painting. Because I think, like... For all the arguments this game is going to make, for or against, you know, I'm just going to say it, we're going to be arguing whether or not Mael should stay in the painting, slash whether the painting should be destroyed. The painting, she would have to leave the painting for it to be destroyed. I think the strongest argument against destroying the painting is, we've just spent this entire game watching these people in the painting that are our party members. We've learned about their lives, their loves, their losses, the things they care for, the lives they want to live. These are people with sentience and lives and interiority of their own. It would be a genocide to destroy this painting. It would be the wiping out of a sentient people. To, like, you might regret it. You might wish you'd never painted these people into the painting. It would be easier for you if you could pretend they're just fiction. They are real. They are living people. And I wish Mael hammered that home more. Like, we cannot destroy the painting. These are people, and I love them. It's like the Doctor from Voyager or Hologram Moriarty from The Next Generation. Yeah, you can't focus on the origins. You have to go in the here and now. This is clearly a person. And whether they fit the technical definition, we know intrinsically they should have rights.
I've lost too much.
Yeah, there is no shortage of is this a human stories in sci-fi, but like,
So much.
I'll say this. It's a rarity to see it done in like high fantasy. I know people who just don't like sci-fi as an overall setting generally, but will play like a high fantasy type thing in the vein of something like Clair Obscur. I'm glad we're getting this kind of thing. A very sci-fi plot explored in a different genre trapping.
We both lost so much.
Yeah, Death Tales, I've heard there's a lot of people online who go, oh, the choice at the end of this is really easy, they're just paintings, they're not people.
I don't want to lose you either.
And apparently, like, maybe the devs think that's the correct perspective that you're supposed to have, and I think that's bullshit.
Just a little longer.
I want to trust you, but
You can.
Yeah, Mux, my use of the word genocide is very deliberate. I have, you know, when genocides are happening, be it in fiction or in the real world, one of the things people do to tell themselves to make it easier to wipe out a group of people is to tell themselves that group of people isn't really real. You know, maybe phrases like, there is no innocent child in Palestine. There is no innocent child in Palestine, only future members of Hamas. That might be the sort of thing that someone might say, and it's not the words, that's not a person, but it implies that person who is real, it's implying they are not real. That is not a real category of person who could be. If you can tell yourself that sentient people are not people in order to wipe them out more effectively, we know that genocide is the right word to talk about that.
keep the light on for you. I hope you find peace. Hold on.
But yeah, painting time is way faster. Renoir has been in the painting for 67 years and barely aged, you know, maybe he's certainly not aged a decade outside. Like, I'd be surprised if he's aged more than a day or two outside.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Deathtail says you could live on healthily by the Persephone arrangement, 6 months in, 6 months out, which may be one evening out since the painting time appears to be faster. Yeah, but the problem is, I think Mael is worried that if I do 6 months in the painting and then leave the painting for, like, an evening, that's when Renoir will burn the painting down. Like, I think part of it for Mael is, you know, part of it is I have nothing to look forward to out there, but I have so many people I love here. Part of it is I cannot leave, or this place will get destroyed the second that I'm not in it to prevent that happening. But also it's very much implied that Mael is dying on the outside. That, like, she is in a bad way and she is not gonna live terribly long out there. But in here, she has the opportunity to get to live a long, full life, not cut short by the negative impacts of the massive burns she experienced. And I think that's part of it, is I could go out there and have a few years left, or I could stay in here and live to be 80, like all of my loved ones, you know. I think the Renoir leaving means he wouldn't do that. He trusts her. Yeah, but does she trust him not to do it? Not to change his mind? Yeah, that would require Mael to regain a trust Renoir betrayed for a while now from her. Yeah, like, Renoir... Yeah, Renoir has not made it easy to trust. He has made it very clear he would do whatever it takes to get someone he loves briefly out the painting just long enough for him to destroy it. Deathtail says, and that's the tragedy of this ending. There's a lot of tragedy to this ending. Because, like, as much as I'm building up here, like, I totally think the right thing to do is to not destroy the painting and for Mael to stay here. There's at least one really complicating factor we're going to get to. But, again, we'll get there. There is no avoiding tragedy here. We are about to get to the one place where there's, like, one line of dialogue I really don't like in this game. I think this game is a masterpiece, but there is, like, 1 or 2 lines of dialogue in this scene that are honestly my only kind of problem with the game. Yeah, Death Giles, I can see that argument. We'll get there. The lines we're gonna get to me feel like... Yeah, the lines we're gonna get to me feel more like someone non-disabled wrote them, and we'll get there. You're tired of painting, aren't you?
I'm tired too.
This is the tragedy of it all. For this painting to keep existing, a tiny piece of Verso's soul is going to be trapped here, continuing to paint, despite being tired and ready to go. A piece of Verso lives on in this art.
I shouldn't be able to be here.
And
I'm not scared.
yeah, as you say, Verso didn't even like painting. He painted this one canvas.
See things as they are, not how you want them to be.
What?
You lied to your father.
No.
You saw it too. But he wanted to believe. You're going to die here. Why don't you just leave? You can always come back.
The moment I leave, Papa will erase this canvas.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, she felt the need to lie and be like, I'll have a healthy relationship with it, because she does not believe he won't destroy it.
This is not worth your life.
Life. My life of loneliness in a shell of a body, with no voice and no future.
You're my...
So about this line. Yeah, I wanna talk about this from my own perspective before I engage with chat on this. So I will acknowledge that it is entirely reasonable to read this as a very real response someone might have to becoming disabled later in life as a result of tragedy and trauma. And much like no one is dealing with their grief over the loss of Verso, she may not be processing her grief about the changes that have happened to her as someone who has become disabled as a result of the fire. And much like someone who is like new to using a wheelchair, who views the wheelchair as a prison, as a limitation, compared to someone who's been using one for 6 months, a year, 2 years, who maybe views it as liberating, freeing, positive, it is entirely possible to write a character like this who feels this way about their own disability. And as Deathtail says, the only person tending to her being Clair didn't help her perspective either. No. And I think that is fair. But I think what can simultaneously exist alongside that is, to my knowledge, and I have done, like, I've looked at photos of the core development cast of this game, to my understanding, none of them are visibly disabled in the way that, like, that Mael is, of non-speaking, visible facial difference. This is not based on, to my best knowledge, the lived experience of anyone on the dev team. And I think it is reasonable to feel like this could also be read as a bit of an outside non-disabled perspective on disability that feels kind of gross. And I don't know which is correct. And not even correct. I don't know which one I land on. I don't know whether I land on this being a reasonable, accurate depiction of someone struggling with their own internalized ableism over their recent disability, or if this feels to me like a non-disabled person going, I'm burned and I can't speak with my mouth anymore. I am a shell of a person whose life isn't worth living anymore. And, like, I can understand feeling that way about your own disabilities, but I also go, this is also a really tropey thing that non-disabled people often view about disabled people, and the line between representation of a complex internal experience and replication of a trope from a place of outside lack of lived experience, it's a very thin line. I thought I recognized my LSVA too. Jennifer English, who played Shadowheart, Baldur's Gate 3. Yes, you are correct. It feels different when coming from someone without lived experience. That's it. And again, for all I know, the lead writer could have, like, a loved one or a family member who this is their lived experience, and this is based on a lived experience of a person that is real. That is very possible. And I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying I don't know. Depending on the day you ask me about this game, I'm gonna feel differently about that a shell of a person with no voice and no future. Deathtail says, I tend to side with the charitable ending because we saw other examples of disabilities that have been integrated fully. Gustav's arm, Renoir's cane not being not once are either painted as less than for being disabled. Yeah, but I will say both of those are presented as superpowers, kind of. Gustav's arm, yeah, it's a prosthetic arm, but also it charges lightning and does cool attacks. Renoir's cane is also like a cyber sword that does, like, laser attacks. They're both, like, disability aids that are secretly very powerful, cool attack items. Mael's is the only one that is, like, consistently presented as a disability without positives. And I do think that makes it feel different. That fair? Again, this is not me saying this is either good or bad. This is me... Yes, Alicia, the painted mirror of Mael. Yeah. And again, I don't know where I ultimately feel on this. This is why I wanted to, like, stop and talk about it. Because I think it's interesting. I think there is very good ground on both sides, and there is no correct answer to this, just... When I think about this, I think I have different opinions anytime I think about this scene.
No matter where you are, you don't need this canvas.
Everything I want is here. Here I have a chance to live, Verso to live. Up there I merely exist.
Like, I don't mind that bit of the exchange so much, in that it feels very rooted in what her life was imminently like before coming in here, is she was like, we saw Clair just be like, you can't do anything to help. Okay, fine, go in the painting, but at least give yourself a voice before you forget how to talk. Like, she was clearly being, like, treated as if she was useless and not of help to the family. Disregarded, treated, like, she was at... I was gonna say at best, I don't know what the best would be. She's simultaneously seen as A burden, responsible for her brother's death, useless, and pitiable. And I can understand her going, no one sees me like that in here. She wants to be an adult with a life of her own outside of her parents' sphere of control, 100%.
Life keeps forcing cruel choices.
Stop quoting Papa!
But again, this is what I think makes the end of this game so fascinating, is there is so much, even in just little word choices, there's so much meaty stuff to dig into here. Yeah, Death Tales, I agree. I don't think this ruins the whole game by any stretch of the imagination.
Papa also said, hold on to it.
It's the one place where I feel conflicted about an otherwise 10 out of 10 video game. Natalie says for me it did ruin it. I wish it didn't. I don't blame you. To be fair, when I first finished it, it did really put me off. This exchange I initially responded really negatively to. Having played through a second time and sat with it a bit, I feel better about it. I feel, conflicted, but it is what it is. I don't blame anyone who, A, completely loves that Mael dialogue, or anyone for whom it completely ruins the game. The fact that I am conflicted, I very much understand how I could have gone either way on that.
I'm sorry.
It's time to say goodbye until next life. There we go, some English singing. Chew. Finishing this game, I had to contend with the fact that I am the kind of person who would let an innocent child suffer to maintain an entire society, as the famous thought experiment goes. And I'm still not sure how to feel about realizing that about myself. Yeah, I wasn't gonna bring it up yet, but the choice we're making here is, if we choose to stay in the canvas to protect its residents, we will be doing so by forcing a little piece of a soul of a young boy who does not want to be here and wants to move on and stop existing. We'll be forcing him to stay here sustaining the painting. We are choosing one child suffering to prevent the genocide of a people. And there is that famous thought experiment of, if there was a utopian society but it was powered by, at all times there is one child in the child torture machine whose tortured suffering powered the utopia, is that acceptable? And I think it's not quite the same as that thought experiment, because it's not like, if you take the child out of the child torture machine in the thought experiment, everyone dies. Everyone just has a slightly less utopian life. I think that's a very different proposition to everyone gets genocided, but yes, those who leave Amelisas. I haven't seen that Star Trek episode, yeah. The Ones Who Walk Away from Amelis by Ursula Le Guin, and you can get it free online. Yeah, Muck says, I left Israel because I could not live in Amelis. Well done for making that choice. There's a lot of people who will choose to live in Amelis. And it's the thing that I think, we're gonna make a choice in this game. We're gonna decide the fate of the canvas. And I think this game does a really good job of making you stare the cost of your choice in the face. I want to be clear right now. Do not read the choice that I'm going to make in a minute as reflective of my morals as a person. We are going to make the choice that I think is the most interesting and complicated and messy. We are going to fight as Mael. Deathtail says, I feel the cost of one of the choices is accentuated while the other ending tends to brush off the genocide. Yeah, the reason we're not fighting as Verso right now, and we can maybe watch Verso's ending. Verso's ending honestly feels like it really just does a genocide like it's nothing, and wipes its hands of the consequences of that way too easily, and goes, it's okay, they weren't people anyway. Whereas I think the choice where we keep the painting alive at the expense of forcing forcing Verso to stay stuck in the painting. I think it is the ending that actually makes you look at the weight of your choice, and it's the ending that I wish was the only ending to the game, honestly. I think it is by far the most fleshed out ending.
Please.
Deathtail says, Verso's ending even has the sentimental, all those we lost came to say goodbye at the end, like you didn't just kill them all. The hubris of the painters in this game, really, yeah.
Please, unpaint me. Unpaint me. Please. I don't want this life.
Stop saying that.
I don't want this.
Yeah. Mael is forced to look directly into and hear.
I just wanted to live this lifetime together. This lifetime that was stolen from us. Please.
This is the cost of the choices.
Please.
I don't want this life.
I think it is really powerful to force her to see this.
Help me.
If you could grow old, would you find a reason to smile?
Such a powerful line. A life to paint. Agreed. Deathtail says, Verso's ending bothers me also in the class struggle reading, because it basically says, it's okay if the world dies as long as this rich family get to have their personal development. Right? Is this family having a healthy relationship to grief more important than all of the lives in Lumiere? Delta says, all I know about the story to this game I've learned from this stream, and it's making me feel feelings. Delta, this is 30 hours of this. This game is 30 hours of this shit. It's fucking amazing. Mael said to Verso when they were playing the piano under the stars, if we save the world and come back home, and come back to Lumiere in peace, the first thing I want to do is see you perform your music at the Opera House. I'll put up posters everywhere. All of our favourite people will be invited, Gustav included, and I want to see you perform. This is the most selfish fucking choice that Mael makes. She knows that Verso does not want to be in this painting. But she decided the thing she wanted when she got back was to see him perform. Out she parades him to perform. Because what's the point of saving everyone in the painting if she can't get what she wants in the process? Yeah, this is... He does not want to be here. You can hear him struggling. You can see that she's crying, but she knows she shouldn't be doing this. But it is a perfect recreation of what she is doing, which is she is extracting art from Verso. Whether he wants to provide it or not, that's just the choice she made. She made the choice that he is going to create art. For her and for the benefit of the people of Lumiere. It is a pretty horrid choice from her, but it is a really good visual metaphor for what she has ultimately done. Fascinating video game, this. The Gamage, such a well thought through fictional conceit to base the world around. The massacre of the expedition as they arrive is brutal. The shift of main character, unexpected. The Act 2 twist, very well performed. The Act 3 power escalation, superb. It's... yeah, she's never leaving that painting. Whether for selfless or selfish reasons, she's made her choice. Yeah, I'm definitely okay, Tricky. It's... this video game is goddamn fantastic. Rarely have I felt so enamored with, conflicted by, you know, so many things about a game. Yes, the things that Painted Renoir says in the first two acts, fascinating when you know where it's going. Mux says, as someone suffering from ME/CFS, living inside a fictional world where I'm not disabled doesn't sound too bad. I had this conversation with Steph when I finished the game, and Steph said something very similar. She said, like, if I could go live in a world where all of my favorite people were, and, you know, anything else aside, I didn't have to be in chronic pain. Like, I didn't have those days where I'm just too in pain to function. Yeah, I'd be hard-pressed to leave. I'm like, yeah. The reality of a place aside, if it feels real, and, you know, it feels real enough, I understand the draw. Andy Serkis does such a good performance in this game. Everyone does. Across the board. Andy Serkis, totally the right choice for Renoir. Kathleen says, see, I relate, but that same sentiment served by an able-bodied person changes the tone. And to be clear, Kathleen, I want to be very clear. There could be people on that dev team, on that writing team, who are personally affected by disability that is maybe not visible, but that may have come from a place of lived experience. For all I know, there is someone on that dev team with chronic pain, their body is failing them over time, and while, you know, who has lost the ability to speak but can still write. Like, for all I know, feeling like you are getting locked in your own body, unable to speak, could be the lived experience of someone on this creative team. Or they could have consulted with consultants. I haven't gone through and looked closely at the credits. I want to be clear. I'm not saying that this came from an outside perspective. I did a little cursory look and went, I'm not seeing anything obvious that tells me this was based on personal experience, and that makes me waver. But I also go, I'll say this, it's resonating with, my initial response was I really don't like it. I've spoken to enough disabled people who are disabled in different ways than myself, who have really resonated with that stuff from the ending, and I've gone, you know what? I get it. And it's clearly doing something right if a bunch of people whose opinions I respect are resonating with it, you know. Monk says, it's kind of why I'm here on Twitch. Visiting a virtual space because the physical one is, as Steph would say, kind of shit. Terra responds, same. Every day I fight to claw back a fraction of the mobility I once had, but having an online space to have community has made it all bearable. It's... yeah. I don't know how I would have dealt with being a disabled person without the internet existing. If I had to rely on the physical world, I would be in a much worse state than I am as a human being. The internet is a magical thing. Oh. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I'm so glad we have such a lovely, sweet, caring little community here over on Twitch. Like, you know, there are bigger Twitch communities out there, but everyone here has always been so lovely and supportive and caring and genuinely lovely, and I'm always very... my heart is always very warm that people feel safe and comfy here. NH London says, I think Mael staying in there is not good for her with having basically godlike control over the world. What happens when this Gustav dies? Is she going to exert that control over these sentient beings? That's, I think, the really interesting question here. Because, like, I would argue, I would like to believe that she would let them go, and she would go, I brought these people back because they were killed in an untimely way by the Gamage or by my family's petty squabbles or whatever. Their lives were cut short. I should bring them back. But her bringing back of Verso does make me think that maybe she would just bring people back because, like, no, I'm not done with them being alive yet. Her getting Verso to perform for her, despite Verso not really wanting to exist here anymore, does make me go, maybe you have just given a 16-year-old the keys to reality and maybe she shouldn't be trusted with it. But again, it's left open-ended enough that I think it's totally possible to feel both ways about where it feels like that ending would lead. And that ambiguity and that room to explore that is one of the things I think this game does really well. If this game gets a Switch 2 port, I am gonna sink way too much time into New Game Plus runs of it. DeathTale says, maybe she shouldn't be trusted with that godlike power, but the alternative is genocide. Yeah, and again, it's... The alternative is all of these people get wiped out against their will. You know, you are being placed with the choice of one person who doesn't want to be alive versus thousands who do want to be alive. But then, you know, you get into the ethical... Because, like, look, if we're going to, like, really get into ethic debates, you could then go... Is it morally right to harm one person to save a larger group of people? Now are we looking at the trolley problem? A lot of people, if it's, like, you pull the lever to divert the track to save one to, you know, minimize the harm done, people would be okay with it. My favorite flip on the trolley problem is if there's one person who had 5 organs that were perfectly ready to be transplanted, one healthy person, like they've got 30 years of life ahead of them, and 5 people who are going to die today if they don't get organs, would it be morally okay to murder that one person, take their organs, give them to the 5 people in need, because you killed one person to save 5 lives? Because, like, intuitively that feels really different to people than pulling the lever to divert the train away from the 5 and toward the 1. But as soon as, like, you put it in the terms of, murder 1, take their organs, save 5 lives, it feels inherently different. And again, regardless of how many we're putting on the other side, it is asking you to weigh up the question of one person suffering against their will to prevent lots of people suffering against their will. DeathTale says, if you don't one-shot Verso or Mael, in the final fight they have a lot of extra lines to say on that. Verso saying, we're all hypocrites here. Mael saying he cannot decide for CL and the others. Yeah. But again, this is all the stuff that I think makes this game fascinating. I will say, now I think about it, there might be a way to make the Mael ending, more narratively satisfying. Which is, when you have that choice where Mael says, Verso, could you have saved Gustav's life? Did you let Gustav die? And we chose to have Verso be honest and say, yeah, I'll tell you the truth, I could have saved him and I let him die. If we'd had Verso lie, apparently Mael, like, can see through the lie. She's like, I know you're lying to me. That would make for a really interesting playthrough, is Verso lies to Mael's face like, no, I couldn't have saved him. I didn't choose to let him die. And it would have made her choosing to force him to be alive and force him to play the piano would have been an interesting, like, it would have felt like a very different kind of fuck you. But then Mael doesn't get a Gamage skill. Yeah, but I never used her Gamage skill, really. Athleen says, I'm hugely grateful for this stream. Solidarity and fascinating discussions. Also, I know that this is not a game I will buy. I'm glad. It's a game I am still trying to put my feelings together about. Oh. I'm just gonna sit and chill on the screen for a minute. Also, some rumors that are doing the rounds. We might be getting a Nintendo Direct the second week of Summer Games Fest, so that'd be like the week of... I would guess on the 11th or 12th. Because it's Wednesday or Thursday are usually Nintendo Direct days. That would make sense for the week that Nintendo likes to do E3 Directs. It'd be a week after the Switch 2 comes out, which makes sense for everyone's got new stuff. Here's second wave of things for you to be excited about, like, beyond next month when, once it comes out. Also, apparently game boxes are starting to arrive at retailers for Switch 2 games. And I'm seeing rumours that apparently that cartridge dumper for Switch 1 works with Switch 2 cartridges, which does make me fascinated to see how long that system's going to take to emulate. I know some of what I'm going to stream next week. I don't know what I'm going to stream on Monday. I haven't thought about Monday yet, but, Wednesday I'm probably going to be streaming To a T, the disability metaphor about T-posing video game from the Katamari Damacy creator. Friday I'm probably going to be streaming some Elden Ring Night Rain. I might stream some game demos on Monday. What those demos will be, I don't know yet. I downloaded a bunch of interesting demos from the, that presentation that happened yesterday. The 6-1 indie. Leftovers KO, that Punch-Out, but it's about food in the fridge. Future Vibe Check, which was the sort of Factorio, but it makes music. A couple of different This Is Definitely an Inscriptions. What about collecting bugs and making them fight? And the one about the socially anxious giraffe. I might dip my toes in some of those on Monday. Right, I'm going to wrap this stream up. I know it's a little earlier than I usually finish stream, but I am going to go write some more audio descriptions for the AA Summer Showcase and do some more work on writing the transcript for the AA Summer Showcase. Which is currently, with 2 trailers to go, how long is it? Out of curiosity, give me one sec. What's its runtime with 2 trailers left to go? With 2 trailers left to be submitted, we are at... Let me load up my timeline. My editor. 49.5 minutes. Yeah, we're going over the 50-minute mark. We are probably going to be close to 55 minutes for this year's showcase. Well, thank you very much, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed. Phew! I'll be back with another stream on Monday.